fourth graders, welcome back. I am Mrs. Lamando here to talk to you all about mythology. Today we are going to discover the myth all about Eros. So let's start with our text. Eros was the little son of Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty. Like his mother, Eros helped others to fall in love. Aphrodite had many ways to do this. Eros had only one. When Eros shot his little arrows into an unwary victim, the victim fell in love with the very next person they saw. His magical arrows worked on gods as well as mortals. You can imagine how much trouble that caused. His arrows, however, did not work on himself. As he grew up, he had hoped he would fall in love and live happily ever after, as did many of his victims. He tried many times to fall in love, but could not. His mother could have helped him. She was very good at making people fall in love, but no one was good enough for her son, not in Aphrodite's opinion anyway. Then along came Psyche. Once upon a time, a long time ago, there lived 3 princesses. Psyche, the youngest, was very kind. She was also very beautiful. She was so beautiful, in fact, that the powerful goddess of love, Aphrodite, became jealous of Psyche. In fear of what the great goddess might do to them if they paid attention to Psyche, all the young men in the kingdom avoided Psyche whenever possible, and none offered to marry her. Her 2 sisters finally married, but Psyche stayed at home with her father. Psyche could not remain at home forever. In those days, girls had to marry someone. Her father consulted Apollo's oracle at Delphi for guidance. You know oracles. Who knows what the oracle actually said? What the king heard was that his beloved daughter should prepare for her death. Sadly, the king took Psyche to the edge of a cliff and left her there. In despair, Psyche might have leapt to her death. Before she could, she felt herself lifted into the air. Zephyrus, the gentle west wind, had taken pity on the girl and gently carried her to a faraway palace, to the home of his good friend Eros, the lonely god of love. Eros was a handsome young man, but he had a pair of very big wings. He did not wish to scare Psyche. He made himself invisible and warned Psyche that if she valued his love, not to try to catch a glimpse of him. Psyche was treated with great gentleness and good company and much laughter, and soon fell in love with her invisible host. For some time they were blissfully happy, but Psyche longed to see her family. Eros finally agreed to allow her to invite her 2 sisters to his palace. Filled with envy at the sight of the palace and the riches it contained, her 2 sisters maliciously convinced Psyche she was being fooled, that her husband was a fearsome monster that she had to escape. But he's so gentle, so kind, she argued. He cannot be a monster. I would know. He's fooling you, Psyche. Trust us. They returned home, dissatisfied with their own lives and jealous of Psyche's. Psyche cried and cried, but one night she took a lamp in one hand and a dagger in the other and crept into her host's bedroom. Instead of a monster she expected to find, she saw Eros, a handsome young man with 2 white wings. She wasn't frightened at all. A drop of oil from the lamp she held fell on the sleeping god. He woke instantly. He saw his Psyche leaning over him with a dagger in her hand. With great sorrow, he spread his wings and flew away. Psyche crumbled to the floor. How foolish she had been to listen to her sisters. She ran outside to the river. She threw herself into the water. She expected to drown, but Pan, god of the shepherds, pulled her safely from the water. Aphrodite is the goddess of love. Ask for her help, Pan advised her. Psyche prayed to Aphrodite for help. Aphrodite was still jealous. She pretended to help her because she was, after all, the goddess of love, but gave Psyche tasks to prove her love for Eros that no mortal could possibly accomplish. Yet Psyche accomplished task after task. Although she did not know it, Psyche was being helped by invisible beings sent by Eros, who still loved her and watched over her. At last, Aphrodite told Psyche her final task was to retrieve a box from the underworld, a very special box filled with magical beauty supplies. With these, she could make herself so beautiful that Eros would fall hopelessly in love with her. You might think Psyche would be excited, her last task, But Psyche knew she had to die to enter the land of Hades. It was hopeless. Suddenly, she heard a voice speaking softly in her ear. It warned her of the dangers ahead and what she had to do to retrieve the box without dying. Her voice was very clear. Here's what she had to do. 1. Have a coin ready for the toll to the underworld. 2. Bring 3 pieces of sweet bread to give Cerberus, the 3-headed dog. 3. Do not eat anything, not even a seed. 4. Once you find it, bring the box to Aphrodite without looking inside. Psyche did everything she was told. She arrived back in the land of light safely. Waiting for Aphrodite to show up, she became nervous. What if it was the wrong box? Psyche opened the box just a crack to peek inside. A foul-smelling cloud poured out. Psyche dropped to the ground as if dead. To save her life, Eros returned to his visible form and prodded her with the point of a golden arrow. She awoke immediately. Psyche, what am I going to do with you? Will you never learn? I have learned, Psyche said softly. I've learned that I love you. Eros gathered her into his arms and flew back to the palace. It took a while, but Eros finally convinced his mother Aphrodite to accept Psyche as his wife. With Aphrodite's help, he convinced the great Zeus to admit Psyche to the ranks of the immortal gods. In celebration, Psyche and Eros threw a party at the palace. Apollo played his lyre. Dionysus brought the wine. All the gods rejoiced. As for Eros and Psyche, they lived happily ever after. So, something to make note of here. Eros was the Greek god of love, but he was actually called Cupid by the Romans. What does it mean to play Cupid today? That's a term we hear around Valentine's Day. If you're playing Cupid, it means you're a matchmaker. If you fall in love, we say you've been hit by Cupid's arrow. The Greeks called him Eros. The Romans called him Cupid. All right, next time we are together, we will check out the media version of Eros and see how it is similar or different from our text. Until then, I'll see you later. Bye.